Welcome to the Unsidelined Life, the podcast that challenges and encourages women to stop denying themselves a full life and to step boldly into the opportunities God is preparing for you. Join me for raw insights and engaging conversations to guide your journey of self-discovery and pursue the life that God created for you. Welcome to the Unsidelined Life. This is Eileen Noyes, your host to season 2, episode 2. So I'm just getting back into the swing of things, so bear with me. We had kind of like I hate to say it this way, but I barf on you the first episode just because God has done so much in these last 3 months. And so there's kind of been that transition from season 1 to season 2, different things that are going to be part of topics for I would say the season. And so last season, just review, last season was more of highlighting, my world, where it came from, the pro athlete wives world, and, all the things that went on with it. And so it wasn't just for pro athlete wives, but I definitely had guests that were, along those lines, same kind of background, same kind of experiences. And so not that we're going to totally sway away from that, but really as a whole. And this is why I would call it the Unsidelined Life is, there is that, that sports kind of connotation or association. And you know what? It just ties over when us women, when we are wives, when we are moms, there are things that sideline us. So it's not just that world, it's us kind of putting ourselves on the bench of life because we're all about everybody else. Those are noble things. God calls us to esteem others above ourselves. The ones who are the greatest are the one who serves. So for sure that. But this is what God has shown me is, and again, it just goes to that whole oxygen mask analogy. If we aren't healed, if we aren't whole, if we don't have the oxygen and the feeling that we need, then we are compromised, and we will compromise in whatever role we are called to. So as a wife, as a mom, whatever it is, if we have different wounds, if we aren't having that oxygen that is going to help us to see clearly, we are going to have different blind spots. We're going to have different wounds. We're going to have different things that can hinder us. I think of it like like my computer. My computer is slower because I have to get rid of those viruses. I have to get rid of the stuff that's in there that's not needed, the old stuff, just the things that need to be deleted and the things that are causing it to slow down. And so I look at us women like that. And so we sideline ourselves. And so this season, I really want to focus on practical applications of how we can get off that bench, how we can start living in a way where, yes, we're serving. And I love it. Guys, I mean, no one can deny, if you know me, I love my family. You know that I've got 8 kids. I've got 7, step kids. Thankfully, there's different dynamics and different situations, but I love them and they get along with me. It was so great. I'm gonna go off on a tangent really but quick. To have 2 of my youngest step kids here, we had a great conversation. And you know what? To hear, shout out to Chloe, to hear her say, you know what? In a situation where there's remarriage involved and things like that, oh my gosh, the greatest compliment was for her to say, you know what? This was like the best scenario, the best situation that could ever have happened to her, in that dynamics. She was talking about how I was like the first one of, she said, you were the one that we could say, oh yeah, she's like wife material for their father. They get along with our kids. They get along with me. it's awesome to have that kind of dynamics that, we are just, it's good. And I'm not going to say that there's no issues, but to have the dynamics of me knowing my stepkids, and even the in-laws, I have my daughter-in-laws that I get to pray with. I mean, I have a bunch of daughters now. And so just those dynamics, it's me being healed, me loving on my family, and then me knowing my identity in Christ, knowing my calling, being healed of the things that I needed healing from. And so the more whole and the more healed I am, then the better I can be to help, to serve, to honor my husband, to do the things that moms are called to do, that women are called to be, helpers, the ones who are standing in the gap. I mean, Lady Belt, if you know my brand, Lady Bellator, she's royalty. She's a lady. She's a queen. And Bellator, she's a warrior. She's the one that stands in the gap for her family. And so when you are whole and you are healed, you're going to be able to operate in all those areas better and stronger and more, what's the word? You're going to be able to see clearly. When the more healed I am, the less I'm in victim mode, the less that I'm in poor me mode or frustrated or irritated. The more I choose joy, the closer I am to the Lord. I can see clear. I can hear clear. I can hear God clearly. I can see the things around me, what needs need to be taken care of. And so that is my heart, and my goal this year is to get you women off the sidelines. And the sidelines can show up in different ways. And so this is going to be all part of it. So today, fun stuff. I'm going to actually talk about, and this is going to carry over to the next episode, I believe. I'm going to talk about, especially at this age, I'm going to talk about weight loss and all the things, fitness, health. I'm going to just give a little tidbit of my journey. So last season also, I talked about, and I think I talked about it this last episode, this thing about makeovers. I love a good makeover. I love watching, I haven't in a long time just because I don't have time to watch TV, but who doesn't love watching extreme makeovers? And who doesn't love a movie where they have different before and afters? Miss Congeniality is one. The one with Julia Roberts, everybody knows that one. And everybody who's probably watching and listening going, it's this movie. I know you know it. Okay, so whatever the case is, she is the hooker who, everybody knows the story. But this is what it's all about. Everybody loves to see before and after. I have my own before and after these last 3 months, and so I wanted to share it with you. So I have to start out though with prayer that I prayed when I was having babies. So, and I probably mentioned this in a couple of episodes, but I have 8 kids. My youngest is 7. My oldest is 22. I've got one girl in the mix of that. She's 11. So a bunch of boys, obviously, right? There was a time. So I have 4. I have 4 brothers of my own, right? And I didn't, if you asked me way back in the day, like, how many do you want? Did you always want a big family? Not really. I mean, I guess, just relatively speaking, I always thought, yeah, maybe 4 or 5. My ex was saying 7 or 8 because that's how many he had in just in his immediate family. And so there was a time where we went to a Christian conference and we were hearing about legacy. And I was just so moved by it. And I was convicted in a good way. And I remember saying to God, all right, God, I'll have as many babies as you want me to have, but can you help me to get back to my pre-baby weight? And it may sound vain to some, but I'm very health conscious. I mean, that was part of my background, part of my college, major. I played sports, carried over to my job before getting married was being a strength coach. I am not ashamed to bring it up again, because I would always feel bad because they talk about it a lot. But I'm seeing how God is still saying, hey, that's a part of you. And this is what you're going to continue to do as you help these women along, is the strength training aspect, not only spiritually, also physically, is still there. And so along with this prayer, which, like people, I don't know, people could say it's vain, but I prayed that. And you know what? God, in his humor, answered that prayer faithfully every time. So I'll just be real. I know it's not all about weight, but you just know yourself. If you know how you look like with muscle, you just kind of get an idea, a range, right? And so in my volleyball playing days, I maybe hit around 160, maybe, I think. And that was softer. It was stronger for sure, like strong legs, definitely lifted weights. But I was still, softer. And, after marriage, after having kids, my ideal is a range of under 150. So 148 is kind of like the number that I see, right? So here I'm praying this prayer, and every time I got to that weight, boom, I would get pregnant. And I just remember God thinking, God, you have a good sense of humor. So he didn't look down on me like, oh my gosh, you're vain. He honored my prayer, and he gave me a lot of kids. And it's interesting because with the number 8, there's a story with number 8 in the fact that after the 7, and you'd hear this all through season 1, my ex had left, he joined a cult, all that stuff. And I didn't even know that I was pregnant with number 8. And I remember, so here, I had my one and only daughter. She was the youngest at the time. I had 2 miscarriages after her. And then we had to have this escape plan. We left, in the hopes that he would come back around. He just never did. So anyways, as we're in this process of leaving, at some point, I lost a lot of weight because I was stressed, stressed and just focused on the family, things like that. And I remember there was a thought in my mind that was like, well, hey, at least I don't have to worry about getting pregnant again and, going through the weight gain, because we had tried before, but obviously we weren't together. And so in my little lighthearted way, sometimes it's like, well, hey, I guess I don't have to worry about, that stuff anymore. And then lo and behold, I was 4 months, I was 4 months along and didn't even know it. So that's that must have been how lean or skinny I was, because after 8, I knew every time when I was pregnant, I pretty much knew like right away. I felt like after conception, it's like my belly just went out. But this time around, I was 4 months along, and then all of a sudden I'm getting bloated and gaining weight. And then I had to go take a test. And yeah, it was like, oh yeah, you're about 14, 16 weeks along. And I'm like, wait, what? So I did not weigh myself when I was in the midst of escaping and all those things. So I'm curious. I'm like, gosh, Lord, did you do it again? Which kind of leads me into this whole thing of, okay, these last 3 months, I finally went below 50, and my husband would love to have kids, or have at least one, because we don't have one together. And I'm like, oh man, here we go. Like, God, can we break that little vow? And I still see, I'm being real. I still have a period, but we've not taken measures because neither of us are working in that area. So, we're having sex, but I'm saying neither of us are, no conception is taking place, let's put it that way. So anyway, so I say all that to talk about this whole journey of, fitness and weight loss and things like that. This is one area of a woman that I want you to reflect on. I think, and I've seen it, and I wrestle with it. I think that, especially as a Christian woman, there's something in her that makes her think, I don't have time to take care of me. And she lets herself go. There's other areas of, oh yeah, well, once I have a baby, like that's it. And there's no turning back. And so I didn't want to believe that. I didn't want to think, like, I knew that fitness was always important to me. So I didn't want to believe, okay, well, once I start having babies, then I just have to get out of shape, or I have to just completely not care about how I look. You know what? Everybody has their own convictions and different things that they value. And so I'm not saying it's all about looks, because even the Bible says that beauty fades. Charm is deceitful. It's the woman who fears the Lord who shall be praised. And so I know that, that's my first priority. Fear you, God, like be in awe of you, love you, obey you. But you've also given me, you've made me. And you know what? When I think about the fitness part, yes, no doubt, like I like to look good. I like to feel good. But I've got a 7-year-old. I'm 52 with a 7-year-old. I want to live a long life for him. I want to be healthy and strong. I have my one and only daughter that when she's 20, I'll be 60. And so I think about those relationships. I think about not just physically. I think about, I want to be mentally strong, spiritually strong. I want to be fully there and present for my kids. And so this whole thing was fitness and being healthy. It is not just about the vanity, or it's just not about the looks. There's so much more into that. And so I just wanted to give you all that, that background, that just so that you understand this is not about looking good. So there's certain things that I want to bring into play as I'm talking about this. So last week I talked about this journey back into, so if we've had the summer shift, I am in a house with just me. That's crazy. There's always someone around. There's, my college kid who's local, so he still lives with us. He just left. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this house is totally empty and just me. My husband's out of town. So we are back into the swing of things, back into full on, like, hey, let's get podcasts going. And so last week I talked about, just like I said, just the whole vomiting of like what God has shown me. And so this whole thing of fitness, weight loss and menopause, all those things, this is part of this episode for sure. It's going to continue, but I wanted to give you my little nuggets of encouragement for you. So I have always lifted, I love being healthy, right? But it was 2 years ago, nothing changed in terms of what I ate, lifting weights, all those things. I mean, it did get busier, but it didn't change. But then all of a sudden I'm like gaining this weight. 2 years later, it accumulated to 8 pounds or more. And I'm like, what the heck happened? Like, what's going on? And so, if you're in your 40s and 50s, if you understand this whole thing about perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause, all those things. So right now, like I said, I guess it's called, I'm not like educated completely in this area. I just know me. So I still have a period, like I said, but I know the symptoms, there's different things. I probably have 1 or 2 hot flashes. But the biggest thing for me was fatigue and weight gain. And so with this whole weight gain thing, I've been like exercising, trying different things. And the thing with me is I did focus on the scale. I looked to the scale. I looked at I looked in the mirror, but I didn't realize it. I was looking for instant results. I was looking for, okay, can I see progress after a week? Can I see the scale drop 2 pounds? Because I know, ideally you shouldn't lose more than 2 pounds a week, but that's what I was looking for. Like I expected the scale to change. or to go down every week. And that wasn't happening. And so I know me, what I would do is I would get into something, whether it be, gosh, one time I tried this thing, I don't even remember it, but it was like certain days of just protein. And then the next day was straight carbs. And then I would, I tried all these things. I did do the shot for a month. I talked to a friend of mine. I'm like, hey, I just need a jump start. Will this help me? That's all I needed. It was just like, let me just start it. I took the shot for just a month and I lost 4 pounds, I think probably within a 2-week period. And I just knew, I was talking to my husband, I didn't feel right about it. And I could just tell for me, talking about me, there were certain things I could tell that was messing with me, just my digestion, things like that. I felt like times of just kind of nausea. So I stopped it. And then I gained those 4, I gained those 4 and more. So I was at a point of frustration again. And so as I was just like, okay, I got to work out completely consistently. I got to work out every day. I was just on the go, just on fire to get things going. I remember something came through my feed and I was thinking more of, this is for my husband. I'm going to get my husband on this thing. So long story short, it was an online trainer who I kind of was hoping to get my husband on, but I ended up using him for me. And so that was the beginning, starting in May, of a journey where I have 7 months of online coaching. And so I say that to say, okay, this is me who knows this stuff, who knows, about fitness, who knows about lifting, who knows about a lot of things. But it was like, I need a coach. I need someone to help me. I need someone to encourage me. I need accountability. And so in the fitness world, and we have great conversations because that's my background. I have someone to go through my stuff I'm logging my foods. We're talking about lifting, like what areas, what exercises, what works. And so we're typically talking about once a week. And so, like I said, that started in May. And the beauty about that is because of the accountability, there's been times where it's like, okay, this is super frustrating, like the scale is not moving. But after a month, I think after a month and a half, the scale wasn't moving, but because I had to take before pictures, which if I'm going to be courageous enough, I'm not sure yet. I may have it be on here as you're listening to the podcast. So I'll send the pictures to my team and we'll see. I'll try to do it. But so after, I think it was at the end of June, I posted pictures again. And I was like, you know what? Okay, the scale's not going down, but I didn't have a measuring tape, so I didn't take measurements, but I saw my shoulders getting stronger. I saw less, stuff in the middle. And I was like, okay, I can do this. Like, let me just push through. Let me not look at the scale. We talked about what I was eating, like what's working, what's not. And so the thing is, when you log your food too, you'll realize, oh my gosh, I thought I was eating better than I did. Or dang, this has a lot of fat. I mean, they put me on a thing where it was supposed to be, I don't remember how many grams of fat, but I was like, dude, I'm completely going over a lot and not even bad fats. And I wasn't getting nearly enough protein. And this is not like totally, it's called macros. If you know anything about that, like, you're kind of watching your protein, your carbs, your fat. But it wasn't like super, super detailed, but generally I was like, gosh, I don't eat that much protein that I thought I did. So in regards to that, just in terms of food and nutrition and lifting, we were able to look back and we were constantly tweaking. Okay, this week, all right, how about you get this much protein in the morning because you're not never reaching it. Let's just load you up. Let's have a big protein breakfast. And so I've been doing different things. So that's been going on. And so that's really, honing in on someone who totally understands training, and I love it because we get to talk about it, and I've got things down the line. That's like I said, this whole strength coach thing. I know that God is starting to bring it back, not only for me, not only for my family, but outside my family now, which I love. I love that part. So there is that part of having accountability and committing to something. In May, June, July, August. In June, I joined, it was called the 90-Day Summer Shred. I talked about this last week a little bit. I specifically joined two things. And I talked about this last week, mostly about this, that I kind of just laid down everything work-wise. I stopped writing. I wasn't doing podcasts. And so it was mostly just taking care of the home, taking care of the family, and kind of just taking care of me. And I guess I didn't think of it as anything work-wise. I was just thinking, okay, like this is just about, it's just about home life and me included. And so during the summer shred, it was really just supporting someone doing the shred, but also thinking, okay, I'm doing all these things. So he had 4 protocol. Every week you're supposed to track your food, 70 ounces of water. You're supposed to, 20 minutes of activity, and you're supposed to be reading scripture. And so those were his criteria. And so this was, you do this with me, you can get your money back if you do it. So it was a certain amount of money. And I was like, even if I didn't get any, I was just supporting him, but I was like, dude, I can get most of it back. And I just had missed 2, cause if you don't, meet those criteria in a week, then you don't get a certain amount. I think it's like $25 back. And so, that's happened only twice. And it had to do with, because I was traveling and I couldn't drink enough water, or, mostly that. Yeah. It was that. And so all these other areas, I'm like rocking it 7 days a week. I'm making sure that I'm active. I'm, getting into the word. I'm checking my food, all those things. And so being in that environment again, and then spiritually speaking on top of that, which for me is the most important, that had been another layer of accountability. And not only that, a group environment of encouragement where, we're sharing our wins, our losses, our struggles. We had different strategies with that. And so those 2 things, and then some other things where, again, I didn't realize how much God was saying, hey, focus on the different things in you, in the home, but in you, Eileen, because that is going to also be a part of what you're doing as you're helping other women. And so this whole journey, these last 3 months, I've been able to say that I am. So I reached, before this all started, again, these are my numbers and what I know. I was at 157, which is the most I have been. And I felt puffy. I could tell where my puffiness is. And I just didn't feel comfortable in my skin. I didn't feel comfortable in my clothes. I could tell things were just kind of hanging over. And so through this journey of committing to this, I have lost, and just the scale. I have lost 8 pounds. As long as I know, like I said, I know where I'm at, even with lifting. Me under 150, I could tell I feel good. I feel better and healthier and stronger than I probably have ever felt before. And here's a prayer of mine too. Lord, renew my youth like the noonday sun. And he knows my heart behind that. It is not just about, there's so many things that go into that, not just about, being fit for me, looking good for me. It is, again, about my kids. And also when you go through something like divorce and things like that, I lost about 7 years. Yeah. When I say that is when the marriage ended, and then so there was the turmoil in the marriage, and then the 4 years of divorce. and then remarrying, and then still working through this marriage, which thank God, God has blessed me with an amazing husband, all those things. But man, there's been time lost. And so even spending time with Michael, like I want these years to be the best years. And that's what I've heard. And that's what the Bible talks about. It's like the latter years will be greater than the earlier ones. And so that's what I want. That's what I want for you. That's what I want for me. And so in this area of fitness, that's where I want to kind of, gosh, I didn't realize I've been talking to you so long, but this is what I'm going to be just sharing with you. And so this is just a starting point. So I'm just going to go through, I'm going to give you five things that I did and that I'm encouraging you to do as you step into these areas, because you know what? I want you to start challenging yourself. I want you to think about it. I want you to challenge your way of thinking, your mindset and ask yourself, how do I see myself? Do I like myself? Do I care for myself? Am I making excuses? Am I letting myself go with the excuses of I have no time? Yeah, I have to be there for everybody else. It's like vain to think about yourself. Yeah, and those are the things that trip us up to neglect ourselves. And that's not what God calls us to do. Again, it is not about outward appearance only. The Bible says, don't just focus on the braided hair and those things. He says, focus on the inside, but he's never said, let yourself go, woman. Let yourself just gain weight, all these things. And when I say that I'm talking about the health aspect, I'm talking about you. So I'm not talking about someone who, I want you to be okay with you. Let's put it that way. I want you to love you. I want you to be able to look in the mirror and go, you know what? I like what I see. Because you were there at one time. When you were young, that's what you did. Before you were married, that's what I hope you did. And if you've never been there, then it's time. It's time to say, hey, what about me? Is my health okay? Can I look in the mirror and like what I see? And so there's so much more than the outward appearance, which we're going to talk about, but I am going to, because it always together, all ties in together. I'm going to have you think about this area of fitness and things and how you can kind of just step into it. Think about it. So here we go. The first thing is, I call it like the State of the Union. Like, where are you? Where are you? How do you feel? When was a time where you felt like, I like that. Like, I felt comfortable in my skin there. I liked the way I looked there. I felt sexy. Hey, I'm a Christian woman who likes to feel sexy. It's okay. I'm not doing it for anybody else, but I do have a husband. So that's part of it. And I feel better about me. I also want to be an example for my daughter so that she knows, you know what, my mom is still taking care of herself. I want my boys, girlfriends, and future wives to be able to be inspired by me. Not just, in all the areas. I want to be that Proverbs 31 woman who the Bible says she's got strong arms. She takes care of herself. I want to be that woman because that woman is going to be one who influences other people. So where are you? That's what I want you to think of. What's my State of the Union? How do I look at myself now? Where have I let myself go? So that's the first thing. Number 2, reach out to someone. As you think about this, I want you to, if you have someone close to you, say, hey, you know what? I want to start thinking about this. I want to start thinking about my fitness more. I'm going to look for an accountability partner. That makes it official. So I told you this whole thing started when I finally committed to, you know what, I know these things, but there's a whole lot I don't know about. I don't know about the whole menopause thing. I don't know about these hormone things. Let me find out. Let me seek people who know this stuff And that we find accountability, who I have to check in with every single week. Not only, for the numbers, but it's about, hey, I'm doing all the things. Why isn't this working? And him, my trainer's saying, hey, let's just push through. Okay, these are certain areas, just little tweaks here and there. But the commitment part made me push through. So having accountability, number 2, having accountability makes it official. Start with basic steps. Start reading this, Atomic Habits. That is an amazing book. That talks about, we get goal oriented, we get results oriented, but goals and results start with good habits. It starts with systems. And so start with basic steps. So for me, and think about this for you, in terms of activity, so we'll just keep it pretty broad. In terms of being active, what do you like? What can you do? I'm older. My bladder is definitely not the same. I would love to go running, but I can't. So I used to do half marathons, a slow half marathon, but I used to do those. I loved it. I can't anymore, but I can walk. And in this commitment, I started walking. Where we live, it's hilly. I was very sporadic. I was very intentional, but it was hit or miss. And I don't know what happened, but I just committed to walking every single day. And I remember the shift of, I don't want to do this, to, okay, I got to do this, to, oh my gosh, I want to do it. I did it in the morning. I want to do it again in the evening. It starts with baby steps. So start somewhere. Is there an activity you like? Is there a gym you like to go to? Is there a friend who you can go with to do these things? Start with just basic steps. Start and say, you know what, I'm going to do 20 minutes. And here's the thing, if you're going to go walk for 20 minutes, which I think everybody can do, start with a certain time. Get your music or your, I listened to about 4 books this summer. Awesome, amazing books about leadership, purpose, all these things, which I get to share with you. All the things I'm learning, I get to share with you, not only on the podcast here, but in different things coming up as I start coaching, as I start doing, different things. See, I'm plugging myself already. But start with the basics. And, something as simple as this. I'm hesitating because it all comes to accountability still. But these are basic enough to where, actually, you know what? Let's just start with this. Start with one thing. Start with the activity piece. What can you do for 20 something minutes? And then just kind of go from there. If you're at the point where you can say, okay, for me, it was those 4 basics. For me, they were, for me, easier basics. For you, it may be like a challenge. I pretty much knew I generally can drink that much water. I try to stay with at least 100 ounces of water a day. 20 minutes of activity is not that hard. Is a no-brainer for me. Logging my food, that took time. That still sometimes is hit or miss depending on how busy. But now I'm starting to know me. So after 3 months, I'm starting to realize, okay, yeah, my sugar cravings have gone down. I don't eat the junk. And so those are things that come with the conversations, the accountability. When you're aware of it and when you talk about it and when you have a plan of attack, those habits and those bad things, and when you're aware and observant, like, oh my gosh, this thing that I thought was healthy is not that healthy, or here I thought this had this much protein, but it doesn't. There's so many things that because of looking at labels going, that's not the best, decision. So you could do that. You can do the walking, you can do the nutrition, you can do the activity, and for sure, seeking God first, and all things will be added. The next one is commit to a time frame. Again, this is about accountability. So if you have someone And if you don't, like, I'm not saying just start now. I want your wheels to be turning because I'm going to offer something for you guys. I'm looking by the grace of God at January for something very specific. But even before that, get a hold of me. Okay. If all these things are pricking at you, can you please contact me at hello@ladybellator.com. You will reach me. Okay. You'll reach me. So commit to a time frame. If it starts right now, and if you're going to be talking to a friend and you're saying, hey, it's got to be long enough. It's got to be at least a month. Because if it's any sooner than that, you're not going to see progress and you're going to get discouraged and you're going to quit. So commit to at least 30 days. And then better would probably be 3 months. All right. And like I said, this is not just like a one-time podcast. We're going to get into this more. The next one is celebrate your commitments. And so celebrate your progress. Do not look at that darn scale. That's not the only thing that you look at for your progress or your celebrations. When I started walking, I celebrated the fact that when I did it, it was just like, when I got done, that was a celebration. When I chose not to eat a certain food, that was a celebration. When I shifted from, oh my gosh, like these walks, I love them. When I saw that the walking, my legs were getting stronger, I wasn't breathing as hard. Those are little celebrations. When my kids came with me, celebration. When they worked out with me, celebration. Those are celebrations. Those are things where, even other things. We'll even talk about yoga in this thing. I go to a lady. I actually had her on my first season. Amazing woman of God. And man, we stretch and we give the whole time to Jesus. And we're praising him. And the Bible says that he is in the midst, of you when two or more are gathered in my name. And we were. And so there's other things. But that has been so good for me because that honestly is the one time where I am fully present with the Lord and I can take away all distractions. And my body has so needed, especially in my age and having hip surgery, and before that, having jacked up hips for a good 6, 7, 8 years, where my body was so compromised, my muscles and my abs, everything was so tweaked out of just compensated, just different things. My muscles weren't engaged to finally have that back. So hence healing, which again, this whole thing I'm talking about in this podcast, you'll start learning is because of that healing aspect and now being able to stretch. And I mean, like I said, I've never felt so good. Honestly, all the way, I've never felt so good in my life. So I'm celebrating your wins. That keeps you going. And then the last one that I have here is, and what I talked about before, is just tweak things. Don't give up. So for me, before I had the accountability piece, before I had, like coaching, whether it was just one-on-one or in the group, I would go, this is not working. And I toss the whole thing. All you have to do is tweak things. So if you're looking at your food and you're thinking, okay, well, the scale is not moving, or, something's not budging, or, oh my gosh, I ate all this. Like I didn't think it was that much. But yeah, I'm eating more than I thought. Like when you're logging, you can see what you can tweak. For example, for me, my biggest thing is I'm good the whole day. And my hardest time is when I'm cleaning up and I'm cleaning, or I'm, like unloading or whatever, loading the dishwasher or getting their plates. My little ones, if they have food on their plate, or if I'm putting away leftovers, that's where I'll probably mess up. That's where I'll go overboard. And so I had to verbally say, okay, one, mentally prepare. I am not going to eat this food. Sometimes I even told someone, like, I'm going to go upstairs, brush my teeth, make sure that I'm all ready for bed, and then come down so that I can't eat. And so tweaking little things here and there is another way where you can keep yourself on track. So this is totally, I'm gonna end it because I'd like to end these things early. I'm hoping this helped you. And like I said, I am going to be talking about this area. I'm going to have Amber Bryant back. I believe it's going to be the next episode. She talked about control. We talked about relationship. We talked about marriage. But she also, we are going to talk about body image and self-care and those things. And so we are diving in. So if you are a wife and a mom, and I would say even more so, if you're in that 40s and 50s place, I don't want to say midlife crisis at all. But there's different shifts that you're going through. There's shifts of, okay, the kids are older, they can take care of themselves. Gosh, what do I want to do? Is there more for me? Is it okay if I even ask that question? How do I look? How is my marriage? How is my relationship? How is the physical aspect of relationship? Those are different areas. That is reality. And I want you, just like me, I want my latter days to be better than the former or the earlier. And so I'm happy to say that I can look in the mirror and go, oh my gosh, I see changes. I see my face getting, the puffiness is off of my face. I can feel my shoulders strong. I feel like I want to look like that. My brand, Lady Bellator, she's on there. You'll see her if you're watching the podcast or ladybellator.com. I want to look like her. I want to be strong, and I want to represent strength outside and inside. And that is a part. Being strong, you need to be strong. Me consistently lifting weights, God has been telling me to take care of the home, right? So furniture has been moving. Sometimes, like now, after I get off this podcast, I'm the only one here. So I need to be strong because there are things that I want moved. And so it's going to be just me. So I challenge you. I encourage you. I want you to start thinking about you. I want you. And again, it's not a bad way because gosh, I love having these talks with God. God, help me to be fit. Lord, again, I want to be young. I'm 52. You know what? I talk to God and I'm like, God, let it be that I'm like 30 right now. So that when I'm 70, it's like I'm 50 because I need that for my kids, So God is an amazing God, an amazing Father that we can have these conversations, and He loves me the same. And He's not looking down. If there's something vain there, He keeps me in check, but I can approach Him in that way. And so I am encouraging you, challenging you to take a look and say, you know what? It's okay that I start thinking about me and start thinking, when did I look good? When did I feel good? What can I do differently? Where can I start so that I can get back on track? And like I said, get a hold of me. I do coaching. I will be doing more. Like I said, there's something coming up, but connect with me. Also, as we're broadening out, share this because this is not just for, NFL wives, pro athlete wives. Share this with your friends. I believe that your girlfriends will be blessed by this podcast, this season, this episode. So subscribe, comment, please share it, and I will see you next week at the Unsidelined Life. Bye.
Until next time, love well, celebrate your strength, and discover the new things you are capable of. You are a light in the lives of those around you, and no night is too dark for you to find your way.